Yes, I know. That you are not that you people invite and take care. I'm so happy that sorry. The Horaya, correct.
Hello, hello. Very good afternoon, everyone. So let's start the proceedings as people will keep on working. Another 5 minutes, I guess. But let's get the process started. So, warm welcome to all of you to the 19th lecture of the CBTU Chancellor's lecture series. We have been very fortunate over the last 1.5 years. 19, already 18 lectures completed. Very, very prominent scientists who have visited us. We've been so fortunate. And today we are fortunate to have with us Professor Z. Sastry, the director of CSI and NIST in Doha. And we welcome sir to our campus. And we hope to have a wonderful interaction with him. We really appreciate that he could manage the time for us. In fact, he started the journey at 6 or 6:30 in the morning today. Already a very long day. I think for him. But nice to see, sir, you're still smiling. And just before we came here, we were interacting with the students. We visited a few labs. And possible after the lecture, we'll be connecting for the campus. So I'll come to the common introduction later, but first, let us take the honor of welcoming sir to our university. Unfortunately, our honorable Vice Chancellor sir's flight got delayed. He was supposed to reach here by 2:30, but since the flight was delayed and you'll be reaching very late. So, take the honor of welcoming sir here, and I would like to request or Honorable Dean, Commerce Management, Mr. To kindly felicitate such sister and welcome to our university with a namaskar. Thank you, sister. And now I'd like to request our Dean of Engineering, Professor Rao, to kindly felicitate sir with a small minister from our university. Thank you so much. Now I take the privilege of introducing our eminent speaker for today's 19th lecture of the Chancellor Lecture Series. Professor Z. Narayan Sastry is currently working as the Director of CSIR, North Institute of Science and Technology at Jorhat. Professor Sastry is basically a chemist working in the interdisciplinary areas spanning chemistry, biology, modeling, and informatics. A perfect example of the interdisciplinary of modern research. Process Sastry has been effective in employing computational and theoretical methods to solve problems in chemistry, biology, and allied areas. These efforts are able not only to provide a robust platform for carrying out research in CAD, but also to inculcate the culture of developing software packages. He has made fundamental contributions in the area of computational and theoretical chemistry, theoretical organic chemistry and reaction mechanisms, software and database development for drug discovery, non-covalent interaction, cooperativity of non-covalent interactions, computer-aided drug design. Under his guidance, 29 PhDs are already awarded. It talks volumes about the amount of efforts that Professor Sastry had put in to develop the young researchers. 20 postdoctoral fellows, 200 students have done internships or short-term projects under his guidance. After taking over the leadership of CSI and NISA Jorhat, he has established centers of excellence in Minister of Chemical and Fertilizers as part of petroleum research. Then from CSI, infectious diseases, advanced computation and data science division, BioNest, and the Steiner project from Donor Ministry. These are aimed to trigger research and development activities for the benefit of Northeast population. In his career, Sir has delivered more than 470 lectures in international and national conferences, workshops, and seminars. His research work was published in more than 300 research papers and reviews. This has received well over 12,000 citations, and he has an individual age index of 53. That's actually huge, right? So we really are proud and happy that Sarah has been come here today. Professor Sastry was also awarded with the Santi Bhatnagar Prize in Chemical Sciences in 2011 which are known as one of the highest prizes for science and engineering in India. The National Bioscience Award for Chemistry 2009 was also one of the highest for life sciences in India. Then the Chancellor Fellowship from DST in 2005, the P.M. Award in 2001, Dr. B.C. Dev Memorial Award in 2009, the CRSI Medal in 2011, and the Alexander von Humboldt Fellowship. He is also a Sir J.C. Bose National Fellow. He was a visiting professor at IMS Japan, LMU Munich, Germany, Jackson State University in the US, and Kyushu University in Japan. He is a fellow of INSA, that's the National Academy of Sciences, fellow of the Indian Academy of Sciences, fellow of the Royal Society of Chemistry. He is also a fellow of the Association of Biotechnology and Pharmacy of the Telangana State Academy of Sciences. He is actually the founder fellow of the British Academy of Sciences and also fellow of Biotech Research Society, India. So we are extremely happy to welcome you here to our campus, sir. So I will now pass on the stage to you.
Thanks. Thank you very much, Dr. Bhagwan. All the distinguished members of Downtown University.
Hello.
For the members of some Downtown University and my dear students. One of the reasons why I could come here is because of my good friend, Dr. B.G. Unni, who has sort of told me that I should give this lecture, and this is very important. And for him, the some Downtown University is also very important. And all the people who have joined online. Today I'm going to talk about a topic, and I don't want to really go deep into the nuances of either Industry 5.0 or sustainability or sustainable developmental goals and things like that. But I'll try to give a flavor of how we can do research which might be relevant in the current times. So you can do this, I can be free, I can move around. Right? So I just wanted to you people to think about what is learning, what is understanding, and what is knowledge. And acquiring new or existing knowledge and observe a phenomena and recognize the patterns. It's probably one of the most important endeavors of any scientist. And people have different levels of competence. And I just wanted you to pay attention to this unconscious incompetence versus conscious incompetence, and also conscious competence and unconscious competence. So when you have a competence, you probably know about your competence, right? There is a conscious competence, which is really good about it. But you are competent, but you are not. You don't realize that you are competent. That is unconscious. Why you are not competent? There is some inadequacy. And if you don't know that you are not incompetent, that is unconscious incompetence. Or the conscious incompetence. Why I
put these different categories, is it possible for us to categorize the type of actions that we do into these four categories, for example? And if you can do it, we will be able to learn and then try to improve upon. Or if a machine does, or if a subordinate does, or if a group of, for example, there are about 1,000 people in some government university who comes up with different ways of reacting to a particular instruction. And then what you have is you just have a data. You give some different works to the people, and these people will react and then come back to you. And based on the data that you have, is it possible for you to categorize the action points into these four groups? That's very important. So we have knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. I always give an example of the difference between this. Knowledge and understanding a machine can have, but a wisdom requires a human intervention. For example, if you try to take a tomato, tomato is a fruit, that's the knowledge. But understanding is, if you want to get a tomato, you don't go to a fruit market, right? Go to a subjugace, that's understanding. But the wisdom is, just because tomato is a fruit, you don't put it in a fruit salad. That's the wisdom. So it's a fruit, but cannot be. So actually, when we come to this 21st century, the type of knowledge that you want to acquire may not be very relevant for you to get a job. For example, we require a person who writes letters, right? You can try to have a clerical staff who can write letters, or you can have a person who writes some small programs, a computer scientist who can write a program, or you can have a person who will be able to drive your car, or who will be able to tell the translation of what you do in one language to another language. All of them can be outsourced to a machine. Most of you know ChatGPT, right? The type of wonders that not only writes letters, it can write programs. It's not only ChatGPT. There are so many things that we wanted to do, and the conversion of when we I think I speak loud enough. The only thing is people in the back they're able to hear me. Okay, good. So basically, we will have to ask questions of what is your value and how do you increase your value? How do you become more relevant? This is very important. And the things which were relevant once are not relevant anymore now. When we studied, most of the people who are close to 60, when they were in school, one of the most important skill set that middle class people want to develop is time. Has become almost irrelevant. You can speak something and it should be converted into the text photograph. Because we used to take that red roll that will be there and then bulk pictures will come. Most of the time when you expose, nothing will come, and it's really very complicated story. About 20 years before, if you take the top 10 industries in the world, they're all based on energy, oil. But now, if you take the top 10, they're mostly based on software. And we don't know what will happen in the next 20 years from now. So, the question is, how do you make yourself So is it possible can a machine to mimic the process of human learning? Most of the cases, yes, but not in all cases. But it is always possible to see that the machines can do things that humans cannot do. Now we ask the other question. The question that remains is that whether humans can do things that machine cannot do. That's the question which is more relevant now. And my dear friends, if you are not very conscious about our competence levels, you may get an answer that no, whatever you can do, machine can do. Even including the palliative care for a patient and many things, whatever human intervention also we can do. The machine can tell the patient that you need to take this many tablets and it can cook a customized food and then deliver. It can take a patient to the restroom if they are old and they can take care of that. Or if you want to do a complicated mathematical equations to be solved, machine can do it. And if you want to write a computer program, machine can write. If you want to write some poems, machine can write. But the question is, some of the great poets can write better than the machines now. Can a machine sing better than, for example, beloved Bharat Ratna Bhupendra Bhattacharya? These were the questions. Can a machine sing better than Bharat Ratna Lata Mangeshkar? These questions were asked that can somebody make a machine which plays chess much better than the best chess player in the world? We thought that it was not possible. But more than 2 decades back, this the machine has beaten the Calicut. Now the capacity of the machine to plan, design, far exceeds the capacity of the human. So now the question is, it's not the conflict between the man and machine. It's actually the coexistence of how the new knowledge that is created will help us to have a better quality life. Most of you probably would have grown up saying that we don't have enough food to eat. We will have to save food. When the Pandit Lal Bahadur Shastri was the Prime Minister, the call is you just have to skip the food on at least one day, or you instead of rice you have to eat wheat. All sorts of things have come. Because at that particular point of time, there was such a low production of the grains, and we were importing the wheat from US. And US is supplying us wheat. This is the PL 450 project. In some of the scientific laboratories are doing some work for the US, and then they are sending the shiploads of wheat so that India is surviving. Now from Russia, then even from Ukraine or from US. But now we have wheat, and our FCI godowns are full of food. We can feed the entire nation, which is 3 times more compared to what it was about 30 years before, has surplus food. And what happens to our access to clothes, access to motor cars, access to many things. So in 70s, if you want to get a telephone, you have to wait for 1 year. Because actually in 73, 74, the queue is almost 10 to 12 years to get a phone or to get a cylinder, LPG cylinder. Now things are like, and we need to be aware of it. And then what is granted now or what we are aspiring now may be very different in 20 years from now. So let us look at Northeast India. We have good geodiversity, we have good biodiversity, and there is seismicity and hazards. And I strongly feel that implication of this big data analysis, simulation, and interpretation of the biodiversity and geodiversity through AI and ML for the betterment and upliftment of the socio-economic status of Northeast India and generally the nation and the world is a very, very good cause. So we have to look at cutting edge research, knowledge development, skill development, networking, software, PCM generation. Software as a service is going to become a very, very important thing. And the young people should, I think I have a slide. Let's take the case of a few things like sustainability. Let's take health, education, agriculture. Who is the person who is healthy? There was a survey with the military organization in Moscow, and they tried to get the topmost recruits of the military in the Institute of Biomedical Research. I talked to the director because I have a collaboration there. And when they looked at it, all the parameters that are there with the recruited soldiers, they are very much off the mark. It was very difficult to say that health, but they are strong and fit. And we don't know. Our knowledge of health is very poor. The WHO definition of health is a complete physical, mental, social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. But now they are making an amendment to that. That health is a complete physical, mental, social, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Spiritual well-being is one's ability to do things, the enthusiasm, the spirit with which they work. So it is possible to quantify the health in terms of various parameters. I always would like to ask a very, very able young guy, daring and dashing, physical health, a football player, but he might have a psychological depression. Whether that guy is stronger or Stephen Hawking is strong. We all know that Stephen Hawking was declared that he is incapacitated and he may maximum live for about a year at the age of 20. And he lived for 56 years afterwards, and then that was the history. Probably he was considered as the most brilliant person, witty person, where the delay between what he thinks and the speech comes out is about 15 seconds. But he lived through life and enjoyed. So, health is sort of equated to medicines and the hospitals. That's not correct. You just have to look at things in a completely different perspective. Most of the time, we are worried whether we are healthy or not healthy. Right? And who is the patient? The patient is the one who goes to a doctor. Doctor has to certify. And sometimes you may not be well. And there are two things which are apparent for humans. One is pain, and the other is inform, the weak. So you get up and then you're not able to walk, you're not able to do your infirmity is very high, and you go to a doctor. Doctor will do so many tests. They declare that there's nothing wrong. Or you have a pain. Many times you have a back pain here or some finger pain and things like that. When you go to a doctor and doctor will do all the tests, there's nothing wrong. Or some smart doctors will put lots of painkillers or whatever. But pain is an unmet medical need. It is a $32 billion business. This was a number which I got about 7 years before, and I continue to use the same number. I think this has probably gone closer to $1 trillion or whatever. And infirmity is also a diagnostic phenotype, and we don't know how it relates to the individual. And we are all aware of the intensity of the personalized medicine. While different people have different symptoms, And the treatment that one has to employ for these different people with the same symptom need not be the same, or cannot be the same, or even should not be the same. But the so-called the modern medical science has not advanced to that stage. So as a scientist, we cannot equate health to the medicine and the medical doctor. It's much more. Actually, about 10 years before, I gave a lecture in Liga, and there is Padma Bhushan, he's a medical doctor. He made a very famous statement that health is a very, very personal thing for the individuals. You have to take care of your health. Never ever outsource to any other person. And definitely not to the doctor. You just have to realize that. And it's extremely important that we need to understand as scientists what is health. And similarly, education. Education is now equated to degrees, position, and research. Research, what is research? You get some grants to produce some papers. I could produce quote unquote. And similarly, you produce some PhD students who are looking for getting more jobs. And then at the end of the day, are these people capable of solving the problems of the society? That's what matters. So nowadays, the relevance of marks and degrees and your publications and your positions may not have any relevance, my dear friends. It's only your ability to solve a problem. Your employability depends on so many factors. And the least among them is your qualification. Probably your peer recognition is important. And people who talk about it. Because if I wanted to hire a scientist, I don't look at data, how many papers that they have. I just put it aside and then I will probably talk to him. And I will ask that person to come and maybe some 10 people will. And more importantly, we will try to see what is the background. If he works or she works in a different organization, I'll call it and find out what type of an appreciation they have. What are the problem solving abilities? These are more important. But unfortunately, many of the people think that, oh, if I get a 99% marks, I'm better than somebody who got 60 marks. Not true. Every individual, the marks are different, and your ability to solve problems and your integrity and your utility to the organization. So it's very difficult to equate the education with some of the quantifiable parameters. And similarly, if you take agriculture. Agriculture is about yield. Research says increase the farmer's income by 2 times. It's great, but is it not a pain for all of us that the farmers are poor? When a farmer is poor, how can a country be rich? So we will have to see how the science and technology will intervene to make it better. Because, for example, yield and productivity and profit, how can they use the pest control? There are states in Northeast Sikkim where fully organic. So it's good, but there are also problems with it. Sustainability is a big problem. And there are quite a few issues which are very complicated. So we need to see how we can make it more scientific. Because I lived in Jerusalem between 94 and 97. And it was very interesting. You go to the Siam desert, Beersheba, where in the same desert, you can see people producing vegetables and fruits for the entire Israel and also the surrounding areas. You cross the Suez Canal. Go to Egypt and it's desert. Nothing will be there. It's very, very funny. We went, I and my wife were in a car, and the guy, it was night. The guy switched off the lights when driving. We asked him, why do you have switched off the lights? He said, no, it's not required. Yes. But whereas you go to this side, in Israel, it's a completely high levels of civilization. And another thing is, people will say that the climatic conditions, but you have to see the climatic conditions in the Middle East. Dubai, nothing. The adverse conditions are very high. It goes up to 53, 54 degrees centigrade. And I would like to give an example between South Korea and North Korea. Some of you might have gone to South Korea. The South Korea was trying to mimic Japan. But now if you go to Seoul, it is probably an order of magnitude better than any city in Japan. I'm very proud when I go to Korea that the type of importance that they give. I think he has tried with Korea, right? And nobody uses any lock to the house, just the numbers, right? And you come down and you go to the taxi, you sit in the taxi and tell them where to go. No negotiations. It's probably one of the cheapest transportation and most reliable. You don't talk. You just stop at taxi. Get into the taxi, you tell them where to go, and there's no other work. That's right on. Why you go from South Korea, which I consider that has a better quality of living compared to many European countries, probably barring some Scandinavian countries like Sweden, Denmark, and Norway, or Switzerland. But it is probably better than Japan. Correct? When you go and cross to North Korea, the same climatic, same race, same thing. And there people are surviving on an average with about 1,000 calories per day. If anybody takes a basket of bread, people are there up for grabs. Because the living conditions are so poor that they are worse than some of the African countries. It's very bad. So it's because they are not able to adopt the science and technology. And Korea, with all its adversity, has adopted the science and technology. And I don't have to talk about Germany. Then after Second World War, the two countries which were affected very badly is Germany and Japan. Both of them have revived well. But Japan has paid so much of attention to the applied science. And now it's paying the price. The only country which is spending a lot of money on fundamental science is China. China is probably the only country in the world which is spending a lot of money in the fundamental science, and they are very, very proud. And definitely it will be a lead. The moment you ignore your fundamental science, your basic science, everything is gone. There is no difference between fundamental science, translational science, applied science, or whatever. Provided you look for excellence. It's very important that we need to create the new knowledge space. There are some people who say that, oh, this is a basic science. There is no scope. I don't believe that. And because practically most of the countries have taken a state policy of promoting systematically applied science at the expense of basic science. And all those countries are paying the price now. So, young people should understand that fundamental science is the most important. That's like your grandparents. That's like your foundation. And if you are strong in fundamental science and in basic science, translation science will automatically come. It's very important. So, I just took some examples, and then you can take any example. You can take a large number of examples. I can say that construction, it's a big thing. Transportation. communication. And I can pick up many of the things, or I can take 70. So I like this because I consider Chancellor as a great scientist. Even who is the competitor for him? Edison, Thomas Alva Edison, right? But Tesla is somebody who is very different. The statement that science is but a perversion of itself, unless it has as its ultimate goal is the betterment of humanity. It's very important. So this points to the applied science or translation science, right? But I also would like to bring to your attention this particular article shows that Helmut Schwarz was the 2 times president of the Humboldt, one of the topmost chemists. He talks about the usefulness of useless knowledge. What does it mean? About 100 years back, people used to think that quantum mechanics is useless. Some equations and all. What is the use? There is no translational aspect. And even 200 years before, when Michael Faraday was discovering the electricity, the famous statement that Mr. Thomson then says that, what is the use? That's it. And probably Michael Faraday the Great, I admire, I think that he is probably one of the greatest scientists that humanity has witnessed. He had the audacity to tell that probably you may collect some money by collecting tax on this. That is the levels of imagination that Michael Faraday has. So, quantum mechanics, which was considered useless, he is responsible for about 20% of world GDP now. And I used to give an example that when I was young, we used to send rockets from Sriharikota. We go and come. And then when we were very poor and then we see people who are hungry, I personally used to worry that why people are sending people to Chandrayaan, moon. Is it really required? Some several hundreds of crores. But now, the Chandrayaan mission of India is probably the best business model. The space research, we are all using in the entire world, we have the lowest data thing because of our space research. Our economic strength is very, very high because of our own research in the space. And just a couple of days before, we celebrated our National Technology Day. The National Technology Day on May 11, we have the famous Pokhran test, and we also have the AMSA, which is an NAL product, and we also have an Akash. That was a different thing. But on that very day, the many nations have put sanctions on the country. And they were not selling sensitive materials. Many of the cryogenic technologies and hospital technology, everything is stopped. That was so good for our country. Because in 10 years from now, India has become one of the strongest international scientific nation where they have developed everything indigenous. Now it is very, very strong. And similarly, about 3 years before, we were stuck with COVID. And when we were stuck with COVID, we are unable to produce even a single ventilator. PPE kits, we are importing. We are not able to do. And oxygen generators, several people have just imported oxygen generators. Even my own family, they have got around 12 oxygen generators from US, which is very cheap. And it was, but now, 3 years from now, we have produced adequate and then we are self-sufficient and then we are also ready to import the ventilators. Export the ventilators. And we are also very strong in many, many biomedical devices. So, it's extremely important to be able to have excellence and the preparedness. Individuals need space, freedom, and trust to be able to develop to their full potential. Only then will they have the courage to take the risks that make discoveries possible. So, I think the best currency that we have in our country is young people who can fearlessly pursue their scientific knowledge. And this is very, very important. The enthusiasm of young people is most secure currency that we have. That's what is an expert, the excerpt that was taken from this article. The web summary is fundamental research is critical to the advancement of society. Such research is promoted by generously supporting talented individuals to undertake ambitious projects. While technology may spawn from these endeavors, it should never be the sole motivation for those kinds. So I just wanted to speak out because the people who are confused that whether it's useful or not useful, they go to a funding agency. Oh, this is not useful. It's just fundamental research, and then don't get worried about it. If you are interested, if you think that you are able to create something new in that, don't listen to the peer groups. Don't so something about inventing versus adopting the technology. I talks about excellence and relevance, and we also have to worry about environment. So it's environmentally friendly. If you can develop it, science there is no problem, but technology you have to be careful. How about climate change? How about ethical, moral, sustainability, and long-term impact? These are very important. And there are quite a few questions that people have asked. And then it's extremely important for us to translate the fundamental science and technology. All these things are important. But if you want to do basic science, you can make whatever innovation, but you have to really be having a 360-degree evaluation when your basic science comes to technology and the technology comes to society, where the social scientists are and many other things which we as scientists may not be able to conceive will become important. Some of you are interested. There is a very nice book, slightly long book, The Making of an Atomic Bomb, where it describes about the Manhattan Project. And Szilard, one of the great pioneering physicists, who was so much worried that if this particular knowledge is available to people, they will be able to make an atomic bomb, which is not good. So it's very important for us to also read the history of science. I just wanted to tell you that the two fundamental paradigms in science is experiment and theory. So science is just doing experiments. From doing experiments, you have developed theories. And the third paradigm is modeling. Now the fourth paradigm is coming as data science. And they are very different. Because if you do an experiment, that is the way of doing science. And if you develop a theory, you want to rationalize, like the laws of Newton's laws, or the laws of motion, and Archimedes' laws, Faraday's laws, classical mechanics, quantum mechanics, fluid mechanics. They're all developed. That is theory. But now the third paradigm has come, which is modeling. And computational modeling is you have an input, you have a mathematical equation, and you can solve and you get an output. And that will be comparable with an experimental result. But every measurement that you can do, quantum mechanics will provide the equivalent operator to give you a theoretical equation. For example, if you try to take a molecule or a material, you try to have a problem. It is possible to compute that using quantum mechanical, classical mechanical, and other equations to produce it. So you have an input and this and others. But the fourth paradigm is data science. You have an input and you have an output. You don't know why this input and output are related. And you can develop a data science driven approach to correlate this input and output. That is fourth paradigm. So these are the four paradigms. And People are slowly shifting towards the fourth type. Data science is very important. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning. I also saw people who have displayed many things based on that. And all of you know that the data, building a heterogeneous data with high volume, lots of data is there. It's too humongous data that it will be difficult for you to comprehend with your natural intelligence or basic statistics. And the velocity of the data, that is the rate at which the data is accumulating, is also very high. And the variety of data, the variability of the data, the veracity, the accuracy of the data, value of the data, there are so many parameters that are. So one has to look at various data points coming from experiments, coming from processing, coming from publications, simulations, reports, many things. And you can use various approaches to produce knowledge. That is the fourth paradigm. This is very much in order in the last decade or so. And if you look at the industrialization, basically when human beings, the mechanization has become really very strong. About 100 years before, when there is a Spanish flu, many of the villages have become zero. Every single person died in Europe, especially in Spain, Portugal, and the other parts of Europe. So, how do you do the agriculture? The humans are replaced by the machines. So, the mechanization is important, and that can be considered Industry 1.0. Industry 2.0 is electrification. Industry 3.0 is automation. And probably Industry 3.5 is globalization. Now, the digitalization and interconnecting of devices, AI, data analytics, so what is important is we have to go from 4.0 to 5.0. So we have IoT, cloud computing, big data, cyber physical systems. So 5.0 is customization, personalization, real-time access. This is how humans and the machines will work with. And this is allowing customers to customize the products, and then the humans have to work with the robots to solve the problem. That is Industry 5.0. Now, Industry 6.0 also has. This is large industries, they work with each other. It's the huge Industry 5.0 systems, they interact with each other and then produce 6.0. India, we are struggling to be here, Industry 4.0. Whereas some of the nations are advancing towards 5.0. They are very strongly focused. But now there are some people who are thinking about Industry 6.0 very strong. So I think young people will be able to understand these things better. And it's extremely important to spend enough time on it. And then maybe when people who are doing their masters and PhD or whatever it is, they should be aware of these developments in whatever field that they have. For example, suddenly you are an expert in a particular area, and if you close your eyes, maybe after your PhD, people will say that whatever you can do in 1 year, a machine can do it in 2 days. I don't need. Such a situation may come. So while you are very strong vertically, your horizontals also should be strong. You should be aware. And when you are aware, probably the knowledge that you have will be helpful for you to gain employment or generate the employment and making better living. So if you look at Industry 4.0 to 5.0, the transfer learning, smart production lines, and there are several factors which are there where all of you, irrespective of the discipline that you have, you may be from physics or biology, chemistry, mechanical engineering or electrical engineering, it doesn't matter, economics, commerce, all of them, these concepts based on Industry 4.0 and Industry 5.0. Because about 200 years before, there is no division of sciences, natural science. That's why it's very difficult to say who is Michael Faraday. Michael Faraday discovered benzene. Michael Faraday discovered electricity. Michael Faraday is the father of the nanotechnology. This for the first time because many of you, if you want to know the gold color, you can just take the particles and then he has seen two yellow, different colors of gold, 8 colors of gold, depending on the particle size. This was deposited in UK, in the Royal Society Museum, long back. So there are people who are working without any discipline. So you belong to one discipline, you can call that you are a biologist or a chemist or a mathematician. But there are people who are working in interdisciplinaries. And there are people who are working in cross-disciplinary. But now what is important is forget about which discipline that you belong. Concentrate on the problem. And whatever knowledge that you require from any field, you have to bring that and then solve it. That's very, very important. The division between the various branches of not only natural sciences, but engineering, medicine, and healthcare are confusions. There are top-class mathematicians who have done fundamental contributions to biology. And there are topmost chemists who are the leaders in our country in biology. For example, many of you know P. Balram was a chemist. He did MSc chemistry and worked with the chemists. And he undoubtedly one of the topmost biologists. P. Balram, C.H. Mohan, Samir Brahmacharya. Many of the topmost biologists, they have their degree in chemistry. And there are many, many good mathematicians who have done fundamental contributions to biology. But there is one guy who was a biochemist, Frank Nice. He's even younger to me. Frank Nice is a spectroscopist and he converted into a quantum chemist because some of the spectroscopic observations required a lot of quantum. So he has single-handedly wrote the entire program of forecast, which is a quantum chemistry program, which probably requires 30-40 people to work with candidates. One guy has written. He's a biologist, but when he finished his habilitation, he was offered 3 chair professorships in Germany. So we will have to think that if you are very strongly motivated, you can do any branch. Because some of the people, just because they are doing life sciences, think, no, I cannot touch mathematics. Oh, I cannot be good in computers. These are the things which you have to overcome. If you are having a strong desire, you should not be hesitating from hopping from one discipline to other discipline. Whether you are a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old or a 40-year-old or a 60-year-old, it makes no difference. But it will be easy for 20 and 30-year-old, it will be a little bit more difficult for 40 and 50. So Industry 5.0, there are different aspects to this. And as considering the time, I will go a little faster. And there are different things that have happened due to COVID. And many of them have a strong bearing on artificial intelligence and machine learning. Biology is different and computer science is different, right? But there's a lot of interdisciplinary activities that one can do. So the opportunities will be there: smart infrastructure, clean energy, intelligent transportation, smart clothing, advanced technology. There are so many opportunities that are there. And there are also some limitations. Security will be a limitation. Cyber security and many other things. Human machine collaborations and the conflicts. We're talking about human animal conflicts, but the human machine conflicts may also come. Adjustability. What is human machine conflicts? You may see a WhatsApp message. If you have a face recognition, right? And suddenly he will go and then there will be a distortion in the face. Maybe fingerprint or something else, and your face will not be recognized by your. You enter your home with your face recognition thing, and then you will not be. You can so on and so forth. You can and adjustability, digital photonics, and high skilled workers, and there are so many limitations that might come out. But the only solution is the knowledge and the human resource. And the future research is based on hyper intelligent network, blockchain, and security and trust and quantum. India has recently announced a mission of 6,000 crores. It's very important. Sometimes making policies and ideas are very, very easy. Great ideas will come, but it depends on how you implement. Somebody has very famously put this idea, which I like. India suffers from intellectual indigestion. What does it mean? You have a great idea, but you don't implement. And you get more and more ideas. Ideas are there. So many ideas, but you don't implement anything. That leads to intellectual indigestion. So don't worry about whatever small ideas that you are having. It's better that you implement it. And when you implement it properly, and the results will come in a day. And then the similar thing Dr. B.R. Ambedkar said about the constitution. Oh, this is a great constitution. You are a great person, and somebody has tried to give a lot of credit. Then Ambedkar said that you can have the greatest of the great constitutions are written, but if the execution is poor, ultimately this will be a poor constitution. Or you can have a hopeless constitution, very mediocre, but if the execution is excellent, this will be a great. So similarly, it's not just the idea alone, it's how you are implementing, how sincerely that you are working. That's very important. So the future research will be having the hyper intelligent networking and blockchain, ultimately trust and security. I think this aspect of trust calls for collaborations, inclusiveness. Collaborative excellence and inclusiveness are the new buzzwords for the sustainability. So one has to think about these aspects. Yes. How much time? Very sorry. What was it? 10 minutes. Okay, very good. Now I will be a little bit more professional now. So I just wanted to tell you that CSR means we're trying to look at this computation and data science in different areas. One of my important thing is software development, and we are using in infectious diseases, floriculture, and IoT and text mining, biotechnology, petroleum research, material science, and ecology and environment. I just wanted to tell you that as somebody like me, who is a theoretician, we would like to have supercomputing, hyper performance computing, the capacity, capability, and mathematical modeling, statistics, first principles calculations based on quantum mechanics, classical mechanics, statistical mechanics, fluid mechanics, and so on and so forth. And you have to develop softwares, or you have software, databases, workflows, apps, and other things, right? So this is very important. And most of these people who are working in this mathematical modeling and all, they are very happy. And these people are developing theory. And there are some method developers. Some people are developing computational methods based on the theory. And there are some people who are developing algorithms and programs and software based on this. And there are some people who are applying. And I had my career mostly in this application and method development. And then there are users, and many times the users, without the knowledge of all these things, they are sometimes addicted to a commercial software. But they don't know what is the theory or what is the method behind. That's the danger. So the problem that I identified in the third world countries mostly is overtly depending on the commercial software and academic training leads to some undesirable long term. So sometimes this commercial software is very expensive. And a person will do the entire PhD and the entire career based on the software. The software is not there, they can't do it. So, lack of availability of the software, sometimes if you are economically deprived with the economic issues, you cannot do it. Or people who are probably like me, I may be able to buy the software correctly, but I will be reluctant or averse to use the commercial software because I don't like it. I want to develop my own software, or I want to develop the software which is clear, right? Or sometimes it's too expensive. Or most importantly, this is a black box. These commercial software they don't give you a source code. And often the methods and algorithms are not clear to the application scientists. That's the problem. So when source code is not available, it's difficult to incorporate even small changes. Here you have to make some small change. You cannot implement. So the way forward that we want to do is we want to strengthen the human resources across the country in the area of competition. So as some pharmacy people and biotechnology is there, I try to tell our work, which is based on the development of the software for drug discovery. So many of you might have known that the fourth P, the personalized predictive, personalized medicine, becomes very, very important. And we wanted to instill the mindset to write and develop software for drug discovery. We have to have ideas and we have to formulate them. We will have to collaborate and develop. And more importantly, we have to assess them. And afterwards, it should be available for everyone. That's very important. So we can use different methods and our understanding will be translated into this algorithm and software development. So what contributes to better comprehension, understanding, analysis, computation, drug discovery? Sometimes you have an input and an output. And in packages, you don't know why you are getting an output. People will say, what happened? This is a computer output. And sometimes I would like to try. The computer understand, but I also understand. Want to understand. I don't understand. Only computer. So you will have to divide them into different groups. Like you have an input, you have an output, output 2, output 3, and in each stage, you will know what are these individual steps. Then you will understand how this output comes from this input. So we would like to look at the property of this molecule, and I don't want to spend a lot of time. This idea that I had in 2004, and we started actually working in 2011 to develop a software. This is a large group that was involved. 2017, we published a few papers, and this is the development of open source drug discovery software, microcopy diagnostics. And we developed this for tuberculosis and diabetes, and currently we have finished the NPDS COVID. I think I will have to go through it a little bit fast because this is not the pharmaceutical science, it's a general lecture. But our group is trying to develop this software. And it's on a Galaxy platform. And if somebody is interested, I will be really happy. And this is all available for public. Anybody can do. Somebody looks at the molecular property diagnostics, so then they will be redirected to our group. And we are continuously working. And this particular paper is also submitted for publication. And I also wanted to tell you that sometimes an opportunity can be created in very adverse situations. So when COVID was there, the three academies, when they want to run the summer research fellowship, they used to give 1,000 fellowships. And that year, they said that they will give only one. And I'm a fellow of all the academies, and then me and my Director General, Shekhar Mandya, also get that. And we decided that CSR we will give some summer research. Maybe we will give another 200, 300. So we announced it. And when we announced it, within 1 week, because everybody is at home, 16,000 people have applied. Can we give 16,000 people the summer research training? It's not giving lectures. And everybody suggested that, oh, we will give some 200, 300 of them and we will give them. But I talked to my internal team. Yes, And I told them that, are you willing to work for the next 2 months? Just on this. And everybody agreed. So we have taken all 16,000 people, and here the summer is sustaining from 16 June to 22nd August 2020. And the entire country is locked down. Even Assam Downtown University also, there are some people who are the mentors. We have 450 mentors. And see, there were about 3.5 lakh video views, and we have 1 million visitors for our website. And this is the distribution across the country. We are doing it from Jorhat, but 1,600 people came from Maharashtra, 1,800 close to that from Tamil Nadu, from Jammu and Kashmir to Kanyakumari, Kerala. All these people just using the software. We gave the lectures were given by several people. We have 1 million visitors, 10 lakh visitors, and 450 mentors have worked, and more than 900 lectures were given. So all done in 2 months. We also during the same time, 13 July to 11 September 2020, we also have done the practice for a month. This is the power of communication. We just have this, and then here we try to have several lectures where there are 3 verticals which were put. One is the vertical one is focused on theory and computational methods. Vertical 2 is on algorithm and method development. Vertical 3 is hands-on sessions on open source and commercial software. These hands-on sessions were done online with several people, and then afterwards we again started some mentorship program in September 2021 to 2022. So another thing that has happened when COVID started, the genomics centers are not there in the northeast, and the RT-PCR testing is also a problem. So we converted a mechanical shed in CSIR lease into a COVID testing laboratory within 1 month. And I was so happy that COVID has come. And CSIR lease has invested about 30 crores to make the state-of-the-art Center for Infectious Diseases. And now I am very happy to say that we got a funding to the tune of 35 crores. This is the only laboratory. There is no other ICMR or other life sciences, including IIT Guwahati, they have done. The only laboratory which has state-of-the-art genomics facility. And we can convert the adversities into opportunities. And I will be very happy. Some of you can comment and see. And there are some other recent groups activities in our group, like advanced computing and data sciences. So some of my students will be very happy. So this is a database which was created. So this is the first database, the first open access database for all the medicinal plants of Singapore. And this is available, and we are also having the online structural and analytics base for the entire country. I typically call it as this is the first in the class. And this Oshadi, you know the meaning of Oshadi, right? So this is the acronym. This is the best in the class. And we are very happy that this is 2022-23, it was published, and we have more than 6,000 citations. How many? 6,000 visitors within 3-4 months. So this is possible to create, because this is not a great science, but this is a science which is very relevant. And this is a capacity and capability building. So these 2 databases gives all the possible phytochemicals that is there in the literature collated, and it's available for us. And we are also trying to look at the identification approaches, how to use the computer vision techniques in trying to identify the species for the herbarium specimens, because we have a legacy of even having the Jalika Mall's herbarium sheets in our place. And we have close to 9,000 species which were put, and we have a plan to take about 35,000 species that are there in the region. Maybe we will be successful at one time. So plant identification for taxonomies, which can be very strongly augmented by AI. So this is something work that we have started it, then hopefully we will complete it at one time. So we can also use the socio-economic impact of the COVID, and our group is very strongly involved in exploring the protein-protein interactions. I just wanted to show you a few of the publications. So sometimes we should be future ready. COVID requires a BSL treatment, but the next pandemic if it comes, it is a hand virus, and that requires a BSL-4 facility. It's very different. We don't have a BSL-4 facility in the country except one lab in Pune, which can vary. But nobody prevents us from doing the computations. So we are now trying to look at in a very detailed way the large molecular assemblies, how the COVID infection, entry, transcription, translation, translocation will happen at the molecular level. And we are publishing good number of papers. And we are also trying to apply the chemoinformatics and machine learning approaches to identify the antiviral compounds and predicting the membrane permeability using machine learning or drug repurposing approaches. Because if some of you are interested, you can go to our website and then download papers, and I will be very happy. That's the most present thing for a scientist is that somebody says that, oh, you read your paper, then you please send a copy. We'll be very happy to do it. So there were quite a few works that we have done because there are a large number of very active, energetic PhD students and postdocs. They wanted to publish papers, so we published a very good number of papers in this area. And polypharmacology, drug repurposing, different areas that we have done. Actually, I wanted to show, so this is not this. Clinical trials paper is not there, right? Actually, in computers in biology and medicine, we published a paper this year where we have shown that how a molecule will fail in a clinical trial. So that is a very, very complicated question. If somebody, maybe our Dr. Sen in pharmacy knows that how can you even ask a question? Scientifically, it's not possible. Fails, it fails. And you just have to go to depression, or if it is successful, you will be euphoria. Nobody knows. So for the first time, we are able to tell that there is a model which will be able to predict that there is the possibility to predict the failure of the treatment. So I'm sorry that it's not there, but many of you can access my files, and all of this talk is possible because all these young people and level and people are here, and this is my group, and they are very active doing some research, and they will also do some other things. And this is they are good at these types of activities also. Thank you very much. This is our new gate, and this is our institute. Beautiful one. Some of you are interested to collaborate. You should be happy to collaborate. This is the key. And if someone says that we don't collaborate, means that there is something wrong with them. I don't want to be on the wrong side. And some downtown university wanted to collaborate. They have to find people and then talk to people. And, we should have a strong reason to collaborate with each other. And that should not be just producing some things which will increase our psychometrics. We should have a much more well-defined, profound problem. And I must also thank all of you, Dr. Bola, and also Dr. Hamka, for this opportunity to be. Thank you.
I think we can take one or two quick questions if anybody has. No questions? Sorry.
Yeah.
Sir, you have told that you have digitized all the phytoconstituents reported from North Sea.
Every single one of them.
Till now, whichever reported from North Sea. Can we access those?
Right now, you have your mobile phone, right? And the creator is here.
access and download, you can do whatever that you want.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, you will have not really. This is an interactive database. This is one of the most exhaustive one. And we look at many properties. People. You just go to the site. It's not just one PDB that is out there. Paper you cannot download, you tell us and then we will give you. Right? The database you can do quite a few. And it will be also be eventually will link to our PDF. And there we are looking at the compound as well. Actually, I have to tell you one of the things that I'm very happy is I always try to compare the molecules with humans. If you want to do any work in this world, you have to find the right human, right? And similarly, if you want to have any property, you have to find the right one. So, anti-cancer, you have to find a one. Or some molecule with a very good catalytic. Things like that. So, we would like to give a unique ID to a molecule, and we call that as an Aadhaar card. We actually put that as an Aadhaar card in 2017, 2 papers we have published. Now also, I am very proud. Aadhaar card for a molecule. A molecule, when you have in our chemical space, we have about 147 million compounds. Each molecule has an Aadhaar card. And about 10 to 12 of the properties are given. And some molecules will have a huge number of properties. For example, in a food drug, the first card will be generated on the fly. You can have second, third, fourth card. All the information, the civil, criminal information of the humans are there in the police station, right? And similarly, all the information about the molecule will be there in our NPTEL compound. That's right. So, actually, when this happens, India will have a resource that we don't have to depend. For example, something like a coconut. If EFDL or the PDB and other people will say that no, we will have access to it. You don't have to worry. There's a ministry is there and my group is there and we will provide access. That's right.
Designing a personal kind of because some third party speak that data is taken used for other product activities. So what's your take on this?
Thank you. It's a very, very, very important question. It takes a while. So, one of the nice things that is attributed to XG in the process of simplification, you should not trivialize. We don't have the knowledge of what type of a genetic information is there for the personalized medicine. The personalized medicine probably the closest that we can have is about our metabolism and the mutations inside of people. So the rate of metabolism of different people are different, but the rate of uptake, the immunity and inflammation, and the upregulation and downregulation of genes. And you have to realize that the human beings have earlier we used to think that about 10 50 years before, 10 times more bacterial cells than human cells. But now we realize that it's only 3 times more. So you are controlled by your human cells or your bacteria. Who are you? And what controls? And what are the genetic and epigenetic transformations? While we are trying to look at the bacterial cells, we are also having so many viruses. Microbiota. Why everybody talks about gut microbiota? Because it's easy to detect. Why not the cerebral microbiota? The other microbiota is very difficult. Very invasive techniques are because the gut microbiota you can use a non-invasive technique.
So the virus, the like microbiota, this is microbiota or something like that. Viruses that are there are also very important. And the way in which individuals react to the genetic and epigenetic factors, they, unfortunately, we have tendency that if you have your genetic code, you know, because we were looking from 1908 onwards, we are jumping. Human Genome Project will come, Human Genome Project will come, and problems will be solved. Nothing has solved. More problems have come, much more complications have come. And now it's not one human genome. If you have 7 billion people, there is genome disease. Then you will have the coding and non-coding. This junk DNA you say, no, that's also very important. The non-coding genes are very important. Even the central dogma of biology is changing. And there are so many back and forth movements that are there. So it's extremely important you have to be inclusive in science. And the idea of just following some publications and following textbooks will not make one person a researcher. This personalized medicine is probably the best manifested in our lives. How many people can decipher? But some of them are correct and some of them are not. And we don't know which is correct and which is not. Whereas the Chinese, if you look at any personalized medicine, 80% of the papers in the topmost journals are from China. Because there is a huge harmony between the modern medicine and the traditional medicine. The person goes in the same clinic, there is a modern medicine and there is a Chinese traditional. And they will say that probably for acute pain and acute things, you refer to a modern one, and a chronic one and the lifestyle analysis, you can go to the traditional things. There is a lot of harmony. I myself have witnessed to a program where you call some Ayurvedic doctors and the medical doctors. Within 15 minutes to 22 hours, they will fight and then segregate into different. Some of them will go away. The breaking and then the harmony is very different. It happens again and again and again. Very different. So the science should sort of give you more flexibility and more number of times people are not open to criticism. The example is Subhash Mukherjee. Subhash Mukherjee who has discovered the IVF. And he is definitely not inferior to Phil Edwards, who got a Nobel Prize recently. And he did not disclose it because the lady who now also that lady is there. She's around 40 years or so. And because her life will be in trouble, they did not disclose. And the result is he was humiliated, tortured, mocked by Indian medical doctors, and he had to commit suicide. And based on his life, there's a movie which was released in 1991, a concept of. So that was the concept of Shabana. It got a filter along. People know Shabana, people know concept of, but they don't know what about that. Some biologists don't. So we will have to be sensitive about asking the right questions. And if we are living now about 100 years before, the life expectancy is 30 years in the world. It is 65 to 70. Probably the one guy who is responsible for that is Yala. We just have to go ahead and read the history of what is Yala, what is this one. The second generation antibiotics. So many times we are not really very keen to learn the facts. The people know that who is the great scientist, because he got more than that we don't know much. So this personalized medicine, the topic is very important. And then people who are doing science should not be averse
to other aspects just because they don't do fashion. I don't know what I mean. Sometimes I become emotional and I like
regarding this question is already you have completed all the database of knowledge.
no. Whatever has been published, which is only 3%, that was scratched.
Actually, I know this question. You think that already you have completed, there is no scope or medicine.
No, it's popular. That's it. Because I wanted to be politically correct. But I sometimes, very rarely, we also have to be ethically correct. So, one of the greatest scars in Indian science is the food document. I always say the documentation, digitalization, deposition, and analysis. 4 Ds from Indian science. Okay. So, what has been reported is only 3 to 5% is text. So, everything that was reported, we have captured. Not reported, how we can capture. So, the research has lots of things. And then whenever you publish something, you will capture and then put it on. Has to be done automatically, but with an annual. When you write a script to get this, because sometimes you have to do the text mining. Now, what actually we are doing is we are trying to look at all the formulations that are herbal formulations, which are in different languages, maybe Sanskrit. So we have to use some script to get these terms, and that has to be translated, and that has to be very fast. So that work is currently going on, but the herbal formulations.
Those who have joined us online, maybe
Dr. Unni will always have a question. Namaskar, how are you?
No, thank you. No. I don't have any question for you. In fact, I'm very happy to to hear you are very informative and very highly. Lot of information were available. And again, and thanks to you for your presence and your interactions with all the faculties of the university. And in fact, for the university, this is a very, very rare opportunity and moment for us to listen a talk from a scientist who is holding the fellowship of all the 3 academies of India and abroad, and also a Bhatnagar Award. We never had it. In fact, among the chairman lecture series, it is a very rare speaker for us, and I'm very happy that you spend your time with us within a short notice. You are very busy. I know that, and as far as I'm very grateful on this occasion, I have to express the university had the very first MOU, we had it with RRS. Then later on, we have started number of MOUs. So as far as collaboration is concerned, it was initiated, it was helped by the directors of CSAR. So at this moment, I have to express my thanks and gratefulness on behalf of the university. Thank you very much again and again for giving such a wonderful lecture, very useful for the current generation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Sri, for the wonderful, engrossing last 1 hour that went very fast. So definitely all of you will be agreeing with me that